Hello there, everyone. EM Fresh here today at Kuba's Rock again, and I am going to do I am doing a test ride or after installation ride of my new Fox 38 and Fox Float X shock absorbers for the fork and the rear shock. And as you can see here, I'm headed down really fast, something I would normally never do right here at Kuba's Rock. This is Scott's Run Trail, and as you can see, the shocks are doing very well. I never ever went this fast down this trail here, and the trail is actually a creek bed, so most of the time it's pretty wet, and it is very rocky, and I can see how the name Fox Float came about, because it feels like I'm just floating right across these rocks here. And these shocks are the 2022 version, so they just come out a few months ago. I decided just to pull the trigger on them because you never know, there could be another supply issue because of COVID-19. And but man, I am flying. I'm taking this like fast. I don't care what's in front of me. I'm just riding over it. And also I installed a new link on my Hightower called Hightower LT from Cascade Components. And so my previous setup for my Hightower, the blue bike I'm riding right now, as you can see in the video, was 150 fork. What's that? That's 150 millimeters of travel on the front fork. It was the stock RockShox Lyrik, and it's a pretty good shock. That's a pretty good shock. But I think the stanchions are only 36 millimeters or 35 millimeters. But it did a really good job. But due to my weight or heaviness, I could sort of feel it. It didn't feel like it held me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it felt very small, like, you know. So I had gotten a Zeb 38 and put it on my e-bike, the Zeb Ultimate 38, and the stanchions are huge on that one. It's 38 millimeters. And the stanchions, if you don't know, are the little poles on both sides of the shock. As you can see in the picture, they have those little blue knobs. Man, you see how fast I'm flying here? That would never happen through here. That ground is a rock, and those rocks are huge. Anyone who's ridden through here knows that this is no joke right here. See, the GoPro can't even resolve it fast enough. I can't resolve the stabilization fast enough. Man, I'm just coming down there. Bam. Wow. Lost my train of thought, man. It feels like I'm back in there again. It feels like I'm riding. Man, I'd be too afraid to ride like on ride before. And believe it or not, there's no vibrations in my arms. My arms feel nice. Oh, what was I saying again? Oh, the stanchions on the 38, the RockShox 38, which is the competitor to this shock. The Fox 38 have 38 millimeter stanchions, so those little poles on the side with a knob. And so, in my opinion, they both work pretty good. I haven't really tuned the shock pretty much out of the box on the Zeb Ultimate. I just pulled it out and stuck it on. Didn't really do any settings. I just turned the rebound all the way down. And anyway, back to the Zeb. Back to this one I'm riding on, the Fox Float 38. This travel, okay, now went from 150 to 170. The max that Santa Cruz says that you should put on that you could put on this type of bicycle, the Santa Cruz Hightower. So it's 170 millimeters of travel. That's roughly, let's see, I think for every inch of, or every 25 millimeters equals 1 inch. So 100 millimeters would be 4 inches, and so if it's 170, then we'll just say 8 inches of travel. 8 inches of travel. So the poles are sticking out 8 inches, and they'll detract, or I think I'm saying that wrong, into the fork there, and give you lots of shock absorption. So, but man, I am flying through this here. It's pretty much downhill. And so, but the Float X on the back is 160 millimeters. So the Cascade components link allowed me to raise the travel in the back from 140 to 160. So I was looking at that new GT Carbon Force, and it had 160, 170 that you see Skillsville riding. It's a beautiful bicycle. And because I have a GT Fury downhill bike, and I'm really happy with that because it has the idler, and I'll tell you what that is later on, or on another video. But anyway, this ride's really smooth. Fox is this shock right here. Both of them ride way better than the. I'm not saying ride way better, but they seem to be more stiffer. What does that mean? What does stiffer mean? It's comfortable, but it's supportive, but it's not harsh. It's a weird feeling, when you're riding it. The Zeb feels just plush, like you're on a sofa. You know what I'm saying? Like the Zeb Ultimate. But this feels plush, but not plush. Harsh, but not harsh, I could say. I guess another term you could use is very progressive. So, if I were to take this probably to a bike park, which I probably can now, I bet it'd be very, very easy to launch myself up in the air very high on like a flow trail or a jump trail at a bike park. So here I had a little trouble there trying to get up the hill because I was too busy going down. I didn't switch my gears down to a higher gear, or up to a higher gear, or a lower gear actually. But here, this path is really narrow, and now my bike feels even more poppy and snappy. I feel like when I'm pedaling, every inch of power is being utilized, and I'm climbing very, very well. And Rogers is right behind me, or a little bit behind me actually, and he said, "What got into you? What got into you today?" I don't think anything got into me, because usually I'm, sucking air, but today I am just floating on this right here. This is uphill. This is really steep, and with the rocks. Those rocks are huge. You can't tell about the GoPro, but I make it almost halfway. Usually I only make it like maybe 100, 100 feet or something, maybe not even 10 feet, and I have to walk it up. But man, look how fast I'm riding down here. That's what the Fox Float does. It can float over, and it has more adjustments than the Zeb does, the top of the line competitor to this. The adjustments on this fork, I'm talking about the Fox 38, is that it has a low speed rebound and a high speed rebound, where most just have one rebound setting at the bottom on the right side of the fork there. And so not quite sure. I know what the rebound does. I'm not sure what the high-speed rebound does, or maybe what is high-speed rebound. But then they give you two knobs at the bottom, and what it does is it controls the rate the shock returns to normal position. If you had the rebound fully open, like really fast, and I hit a rock or something, you would probably get kicked off the bicycle. That goes for the back too. So the more air pressure in the shock, the slower you want your rebound, you want it closed. And so on this one I have it one click from fully closed or from slow. So I'm a bigger guy, and if I hit something, it would launch me if I like had it fully open. That happened to me on my downhill bike. I didn't understand Rebound. I had it fully open or fully fast, and I was on Dreamweaver, and it kicked me over. I was launched like 10 feet in the air. They had to have the drone from snowshoe come out and see if I was okay. I laid there for like 10 minutes. But I learned my lesson on the shocks. I run the shocks on all my forks like almost pretty slow, like no more than 4 clicks from fully closed, so that I'm sticking to the ground. I can take bigger drops. It doesn't influence my riding ability. As you can see, the tire sticks to the ground basically. I can, going uphill, just sticks. Again, I can actually feel it working. Actually, I think that's the difference between the Zeb and this one. It's like you can actually hear it working. Like you hear like the click, like the traction, like it's like grabbing onto everything. Like I'm so confident that I'm not going to fall, or I can go around corners and everything on this one compared. But like I said, I haven't really tuned the Zeb. It could possibly do the same thing. Probably the e-bike is really heavy, so I don't have any problem with that as well. But this here is on another level. I had I'm riding through this would be really slow. And another setting I did on this was I was watching the videos on YouTube. I was watching the guy, he's a bigger guy, man, Kyle Straight, you know. Man, this guy is huge, man. It's like 260 now. I mean, it was a little, you know, I think all the prize money he won from Red Bull Rampage and stuff like that, he's been eating steaks and stuff. But man, I saw him ride, and then he explained what setup he had in his forks and shocks, and he says that he ran volume spacers in his forks, and so at full max, like there's in this particular model I can put 5 in on the left side where you put the air in, and so I stuffed the maxed out the spacers in here, and man, I'm just riding on top of it. I think that's why I feel like I'm floating. Before it felt like it was kind of diving. Not on this particular one. I had an older on the Lyrik. It felt like it dove a little bit. I put some spacers in there too, but it doesn't feel like this one. I think just because the stanchions are bigger or a little bit wider. Who knew just 5 millimeters of bigger poles there would help out so much. And so right here we're down in the campground. I skipped over some parts so you don't hear me climbing, puffing and breathing hard. But right now, usually by now, Roger would be in front of me. He just, but something in the linker, all this combined, all the features combined, is helping me with my leg fatigue. Man, I am just, look at that. That's the steep hill. I'm just coming up. Usually I'm just like, trying to muscle through it, but man, it's just something about the shock is kicking me forward when I'm pedaling. It's actually working. It's kicking my power. When I pedal it, I feel like it just thrusts me forward. The rear shock, I didn't know you could put a spacer in there either. On this new version of the Float X, it has an extra volume canister, so it can go to 350 psi. I'm talking about the Float X, the one on the back. So you can't put that many volume tokens in it, but I just maxed it out because that's what Kyle did. Kyle Straight did, so I'm just copying everything. And it works very, very well, man. It feels like I'm just sitting on top. I'm not bottoming out. I never really bottomed out before. I know they say that it's the forks having volume spacers in there to stop you from bottoming out, which is true, but I think what it does for me is it makes it so that I'm like sitting right in the middle. Like I can't go past it unless I really hit something hard. So it feels like I'm just floating in between like that 0% of travel and I think on the fork is 20. The 20% of this fork travel. So I just I'm just floating in there. It feels like you're just floating in between that too. And then when I hit a drop or something, or something really hard, I have to hit something really hard to get past that 20% sag. And it just pops me back. I'm just floating on top. I think that's the key, you know, floating on a cloud. And so, yeah, they say bottom out, but it makes it, if you float, you don't, when the shock compresses, it doesn't compress needlessly. You know, that's how you get more speed, I believe. And that's what it feels like to me. Even in the back too, it's like, you know, if I took that drop, that was like a 3-foot drop. Before, I would use almost all the travel, I guess, but it keeps me up top. I may only go to 20% or 30% in the rear and stay right there because it's not a big enough drop. Now I don't know if I didn't do it this time, but since the time I made this video, I've written a little bit, and I took some bigger drops. It takes a lot to bottom out. I mean, I think the more volume space in there, the more higher you can drop off stuff, and also ramp up. Like it feels like a dirt jumper, but with sag, you know, with floating ability, you know. So, man, look at that. Even it just looks like I'm floating when I'm riding. It's like this is a roadside trail at Cooper's Rock, but man, it just looks like I'm not even. You know, I take it fast, but it's something about the video when I'm riding it. It just looks like I'm just. This is like a big old giant roost. I'm just riding over top of it. I'm not scared to go over stuff on this bike. So, man, it's floating. Now this is a pretty smooth path right here, and so we're approaching the Cooper's Rock overlook, and Roger's like, "What got into you? What got into you? Why are you pedaling?" So he's like, I told him it's just a bike. Another thing I found out too, and I'm gonna stop here for a bit. I love my bike shop at Wamsley's, not Wamsley's, Pathfinder. That's where I bought this bike from. I special ordered it from them last year, or the year before, and looked like someone put my chain on wrong. Like they put it wasn't in the it went around the guide pulley guard. It should have went through around the guide pulley, a trolley, depending on what country you're in. It's either a pulley or a trolley. I think in Britain, or Great Britain, they say trolley, but in America we say pulley. So man, look how fast I'm taking that. If you rode Cooper's Rock, if you're ever in the area, ride Cooper's Rock, you'll see what I'm telling, see what I'm talking about. All right, Roger took the lead again. I think he's trying to see if I'm really, if it's the bike or what. But he's we're going downhill right now, but he's gonna take off here, and I'm gonna see if I can keep up. It might be just I ate some beans or something last night, but I don't think so. Usually I'm like dead. I'm just struggling to keep up, but I believe it's the shock and the new link from Cascade Components. It makes your bike more progressive. For a bigger rider, the link makes your bike more progressive. It according to the owner, when I was talking to him, it helps as though your shock won't compress. If you're a big guy, usually the shock is doing all the work. It's trying to keep you up, but there's not a PSI or big enough stanchion to keep you up from bottoming out. Or another example to best explain this. If you're at a bike park and you go around a switchback or a berm, a really sharp one, before when I went around those really try to go fast, I would dive in when the shock compressed. I would dive in, but it wouldn't come out. I don't say fast enough, but it just wasn't supporting. air in it and everything, you know. But if you put too much air in it, it feels really harsh, you know. But since I put the tokens in, and I'm speaking from my downhill bike, but it's the same principle here. I don't. It just stays at 30% sag, and I can go faster. And then if it does go below that, the bottom of the tokens will just give me a lot of spring. Like it just, you know, it will just catapult me out of the turn. That's what it feels like now. Even when just riding flat, if I pedal it, like it's just catapulting me because of the shock. I could be wrong, but you know, but I think that's what it is. That's how it feels to me. I mean, everyone has their own riding style, and we're going downhill now, and I actually feel like today I'm actually riding with Roger instead of just keeping up. You know what I'm saying? Just trying, you know, I feel like I'm not keeping him back, you know. Sometimes I think he just wants to leave, you know. You know, I try to, you know, keep up, but I think me finding out the pulley, the guide pulley, it wasn't even using that top pulley to give me any power. It was just using the bottom one. It would make this hideous wailing sound, like, oh, like what is that? And then I have an oval chainring on this bike here, and then I watched that video and I noticed the guy did make sure, the guy that's presenting on the YouTube, that you put the chain through around and through or behind the guide trolley, because he's from Norway, like I said. What is a trolley? And I looked down, and sure enough, it wasn't even moving the pulley, and it was actually off aligned too, because it was the pulley was off camber, say, like it wasn't even touching that second gear. And so when I got home, I put that in there, and now I can have feel like power. Maybe that's it too. When I'm riding, I can, you know, it's like I feel like I'm riding, I'm Roger's riding partner now instead of keeping him back. So yeah, he could take the lead, I could take the lead, you know, because you have to rest, because he's leading most of the time, and I know you got to get winded, because you don't want to. There's no one there to, you know, to pace you. So he's a very good pace setter, and keep us on our. He keeps us on track. Like we're trying to get, you know, 8 miles per hour. That's our goal. The whole, our average 8 miles per hour the whole trip. You know, I think that's our goal right now. Today we got pretty close. It was like 7.6 or whatever. So somehow you can figure that out, or maybe I think it's on the Strava app too. It tells you how fast you're going in miles per hour. So that's what we're trying to do. Trying to get to 8. Yeah, and then 9, yeah, if possible. That'd be pretty hard to do. But okay, so we're almost finished. But I took the lead again. See, we're alternating. Roger can rest a little bit, and not, you know, rest his legs. As you see here, it's getting a little dark. Here's a little mini GoPro review. I'm riding the GoPro 10. I have the GoPro 10 in my on my chest harness there. And when I notice when it gets darker, it's really dark right now. You can't tell, but the ISO, or the artificial light that the sensor, or the sensor of the computer and the camera gives an artificial lighting called the ISO. If you're a photographer, you know what that means. And so it's pretty dark out here. I didn't bring my light, but it's raising the light. That's why it's getting kind of shaky. The GoPro needs a lot of light, natural light, to make it. No, not really. It's dark, but it needs a lot of light to make it the stabilization work, because I think the shutter speed is high as it can go, or low as it can go, or open, and so it looks blurry a little bit. So I apologize for that. And so notice when we go out in the field there, it brightens up, and the stabilization system is working. Until Rosley takes the lead again. He said, "Oh, since you're so fast now, you take the lead." I can hear him pressing on me too. It was horrible, man. But but something about the bike, man. Today, man, I was flying. Look at this. I'm going uphill. And I'm just like I'm going downhill. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Got a little rain out here. Weird, it only rains in this section, but 100 feet away, it dries a bone. All right, going down back to the parking lot here. This is the end of the roadside trail. This is the fastest part. This is why people ride Cooper's Rock right here. If you park in the front, because to take this hill like really fast, it just rejuvenates you. Makes it feel like you can ride some more, but look at that. I'm flying through there. It's really dark right here, so it's a little bit bouncy and shaky. GoPro stabilization is off. Off by automation. Okay, so almost there, almost back to the parking lot. And if you haven't already, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and stay tuned for the next videos, or watch out or keep a lookout for the next videos where I'm showing you how to put on a fork and how to put the Cascade link on if you want to do that, and the rear shock as well. So it can be any bike, not just the Hightower. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching.